Welcome, everyone, on behalf of Dallas College and the sustainability team. My name is Faye Davis, and I am joined by my team members Sonia Ford and Georgianne Moss, who are all working in the background. We are also grateful for the support of the Dallas College WebEx support team. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce your speaker, Kit Sawyers. Kit Sawyers is a graduate of the University of Virginia and Southern Methodist University, where she received her Juris Doctor. She has an impressive career working in the nonprofit sector as Chief Development Officer at United Way, and she also served as the Vice President of Special Events for the North Texas Super Bowl 45 Host Committee. Dallas is now very lucky to have Ms. Sawyers as the President of Klyde Warren Park. Thank you so much, Kit, for joining us today. Please take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thrilled to be with you, thrilled to be talking about Klyde Warren Park. And I'm going to walk you a little bit through the history of the park and where we are now and what we're looking at toward the future. And then if you all have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. So Sydney is going to advance the slides. So Sydney, go ahead and take it to the next slide. So in walking down memory lane a little bit, those of you who've been in Dallas for a while will remember what Woodall Rogers used to look like, where Klyde Warren Park is now, right in front of the Dallas Museum of Art. This year, I'm excited to tell you, is the 10th anniversary of the park. So it opened in October of 2012. So we're celebrating our 10th anniversary all year long with some exciting things that I'll share with you in just a minute. But the most exciting thing about what Klyde Warren Park initially did was to really create, obviously, a green space over what was a highway, and is, just someplace that this time of year just generates heat. So the grass actually cools things down by about 10 degrees. You can walk barefoot on the grass. You can't on the sidewalk, obviously. And so people are flocking to the park right now with these temperatures and sitting under our shady trees and running through our water features and getting snow cones and bottled waters from the food trucks and things like that. So it's definitely made a huge difference, but it's exciting to look back and see from whence we came. Next slide. This is just a little quick timeline about how it all came about. So it is a public-private partnership, and initially family, the Grant family, Sheila and Jody Grant, Jody started Texas Capital Bank. So Sheila and Jody gave initial seed funding, Texas Capital Bank gave initial seed funding, and then TREC, the Real Estate Council, each gave initial seed funding, and that was $1 million each. So $3 million to create this feasibility study to see if this could be done. It had been talked about off and on for a while, and really the engineering became available for Dallas to consider putting this deck over this highway. So the city was enthusiastic about it, but it took private donors getting it going, and the grants are still involved with Klyde Warren Park to this day. So it really took a group of people to put a big project like this on their shoulders and carry it forward. It wasn't just a city project, it was a combination. In 2005, the Woodall Rogers Park Foundation was founded, which is the entity to which I report. And it became a 501c3. So we fundraised for Klyde Warren Park. In fact, you can see that in 2007, we negotiated an agreement with the city of Dallas that was we had a separate development agreement and a separate use agreement. And what that did was it allowed Klyde Warren Park to be in charge really of its own destiny in a sense. So the land that was created, 5.2 acres, belonged to the city of Dallas. We then turned around and leased it back from the city. So we have basically a 90-year lease with the city for Klyde Warren Park. But the Woodall Rogers Park Foundation is responsible for keeping the park clean and safe and active. So the money that goes to the Park and Rec Department, for example, with the city through tax revenue, does not come to Klyde Warren Park. Everything is privately funded. In fact, I'll talk to you about the economic impact in just a minute. And because of the incremental tax revenue that has been created by Klyde Warren Park, additional money has now gone into the city's coffers to then be turned around and used for things like schools and potholes and Parkland Hospital, et cetera. So the park ended up being this construction started in 2009, and as I mentioned, was opened in the fall of 2012. Next slide. So this is the original funding, and what I mean by public-private partnership. So the original deck for Klyde Warren Park and what was on top of the deck was funded by public money and private money. The public money was a combination of a City of Dallas bond election where we received $20 million. The Department of Transportation, who started really being forward-thinking about these deck parks, which are now really becoming popular around the country. We have visitors all the time. We had 3 separate groups in Atlanta alone talking to us about 3 separate parks. And you all know over highways. And you all know that we have Southern Gateway now in the middle of being constructed next to the Dallas Zoo. So this really kickstarted a lot of it, especially with the success of Klyde Warren Park and the number of visitors that we have each year. People are coming from across the country to learn how this was done. So TxDOT really helped that get going, along with the final chunk of money was Eddie Bernice Johnson was really rallied to help Dallas receive, or Klyde Warren Park receive Obama stimulus funding. We were shovel ready when she was making the request, and so we were able to get $17 million of stimulus funding. So that part was used to build the actual deck proper of Klyde Warren Park. And what was on top of the deck was private funding. Private funding was used to fund that. So Kelsey Warren, who named the park, Klyde Warren Park, after his son, gave $10 million for the naming rights. And then different sections of the park were sold to different donors for naming rights. And a lot of foundations joined together. So all in all, it was about $112 million. But you can see that the city itself was paid back with its its investment in just under 3 years. Next slide. So all in all, it has been more than a $4 billion economic impact to the city. And that includes that's because really of the value of the real estate around Klyde Warren Park. People are orienting their buildings toward the park. They're calling their buildings things that have park in it, Park District, for example, Park Side. And that actually over the course of the past 10 years, about $525 million of incremental tax revenue has been raised from this neighborhood to go back into the city toward those projects that I mentioned to you, that the city definitely needs money to spend on. So it's really been the gift that keeps on giving for the city and for the citizens of Dallas. And the nice thing is we haven't had to displace anybody because we just built this land out of thin air. Next slide. So what Klyde Warren Park is really well known for, in addition to being this connector, this gathering place, is the programming and events we offer. So that was really copied. The group, the Grants and some others who were the original founders of the park traveled the country and based things in the park on best practices, frankly, not only around the U.S., but also around the world. And there were starting to be parks that were really programmed, that had things going on. More than Dallas parks really hadn't done that very much. And the way to keep people coming to the park and not have it just be a passive park, which is a little bit more what we're used to, other than the park and rec parks that have rec centers associated with them, but was to be constantly programming Klyde Warren Park. So what that meant was we have a full-time programming department within our office, and our staff is about 15 people. And we have 2 people who are focused on offering weekly things for the community to participate in. So if you go to our website, you can see the schedule for that. If you follow us on social media, which a lot of people do, we have close to 100,000 followers on Instagram alone. You can be kept up with what's going on. And it can be anything, or if you get our weekly newsletter, it can be anything from our weekly fitness classes on Saturday and Sunday mornings. We have yoga, we have bar, we have boot camp, things like that, to movies. We just showed Mamma Mia on Saturday night. 2 corporate activations. We have a food truck this afternoon out of Chicago called Portillo's, which is really popular. They're going to be coming full-time to Grandscape out in the Colony, and they wanted to have a pop-up here in the park, so they're doing that this afternoon. We had a Nintendo activation with the company who created Nintendo on Saturday. We have our water features. And then obviously we have a lot going on with our construction, which I'll get to in a minute. But concerts, anything that you might want is happening in the park. And we love feedback. So people who want more program, please let us know. Okay, next slide. With our 10th anniversary, we really wanted to make sure that everyone could celebrate the 10th. We do have a fundraiser in October, and that'll be kind of our big private celebration. But we wanted to celebrate it throughout the year with the 10 things that we loved about Klyde Warren Park. So in this slide, you'll see some of the things, or the 10 things we've been celebrating. If you look at number 9 in October 22nd, that's when we're going to have a big public birthday party for Klyde Warren Park. HEB is providing us with 1,000 cupcakes, and I know we'll have a lot more than that, people-wise. Emerald City is going to be playing. It'll be a chance for everybody to come and celebrate. We've also got a special concert right before that our radio partner KXT is going to be putting on to celebrate music in the park. We did things on Earth Day to celebrate the green space of the park. We've got our new dog park, which I'll talk about more in just a second. And we're going to be doing something on National Dog Day, which is August 26th. So those of you who have dogs, we'd love for you to come check out our new space and celebrate National Dog Day with us. And then, of course, obviously our food trucks. So there are multiple ways to touch the 10th anniversary of the park all year long. Next slide. So that's really what's going on in the park right now. We opened up a new Mi Cocina on the park in our restaurant space. We lost our restaurant during the COVID time period, and that's actually a moneymaker for Klyde Warren Park. So if you eat at Mi Cocina, you're helping Klyde Warren Park because they pay us a base rent. They're tenants of ours, and then they also pay us a percentage rent, which means the better they do, the more money that the park, the more ways the park can benefit financially. The food trucks, if you eat at our food trucks or one of our carts, you also benefit Klyde Warren Park, because our deal with the food trucks is to receive a percentage of their gross sales as well. So if and when it ever cools down, we invite you to come back and have a picnic lunch. In the evening, it is cooler. The grass, I think I told you, lowers the temperature of the park. So in the shade and in the grass in the evening, it's actually quite pleasant. It's one of the few places probably that is right now in Dallas. I was walking my dog last night well after sunset, and it was 99 degrees. So it is cooler in the park, it's quieter, and we'd love to have you come out anytime and enjoy. We also have a lot of exciting things going on. So Sydney, why don't you take it to the next slide? So again, overhead view, looking down over the park right now. I'm standing in this slide on top of the Hunt building, which is the bottom kind of circular area. Looking at what Klyde Warren Park really used to look like, but it currently is between St. Paul and Ackerd Street, that square stretch of space over Woodall Rogers. And if you walk across the street from Klyde Warren Park over to there, it's just so noisy and so dirty. When you look down, you're shocked that when you stand in the park how quiet it is. And then that space to the left, where there's a U-turn, which is apparently called a Texas U-turn. Apparently Texas is the only state in the U.S. that has these U-turns on their highways like this, which TxDOT has abandoned to us to turn into a deck. So what we're going to show you in just a minute is part of our Phase 2 expansion. That center rectangle will become a deck with a building on it. And then that U-turn area is also going to become a deck with an artificial turf field on it that we can use for concerts and events and things. Next slide. So this is just a kind of an artistic rendering of what it will look like from a slightly different angle. This is looking west out toward our expansion. So you can see in the far distance the building that will be built as part of our expansion, and there's a field beyond it. But we'll dig down a little deeper. One thing, in just a minute, one thing I wanted to point out, you can see the expanded and relocated dog park on there in front of Museum Tower. We have the dog park on what we call our east lawn, which is that bottom lawn, the one in this artistic rendering where you see the water fountain is. That's where the dog park was. So we're slowly ooching out and extending now across the street. That was just a strip of grass that the city was kind of maintaining. The Museum Tower then asked Klyde Warren Park if it would maintain, and then that turned into being the new dog park so that we could take full advantage of our square footage on our east lawn and do some exciting things. Next slide. So here is what the dog park looks like now. So the dog park went from 4,000 square feet to 10,000 square feet. So it's not only is it larger, it is shadier. There's some beautiful oak trees over in that area. And again, that's right on Pearl. So if you're on Pearl, for example, going across Woodall Rogers so that the park is on your right and you're going into the Arts District and into downtown, this is on your right, just past Woodall Rogers. The dog park has gotten really, really popular. The units of apartments and condos and places where people are living now down in this area, it's something like 60% of the units have dogs now. And so as this area becomes more residential, becomes more live, work, play, people are wanting pets. And so this dog park has been a really fun way for people to meet, neighbors, ones in different buildings, and frankly, in their own building as well. But it's become a fun gathering place. And with the addition of the new space, we're really doing a lot more dog park programming. And so, like I said, if you just check out social or get our weekly e-newsletter that we'd love to send out to you, if you just go up to our website and sign up for it, it's easy to sign up for. It goes out every Friday at 11 a.m., and it just tells you what's going on in the park for the next few weeks. It's got a full calendar on it. It's probably the best way to receive the information to see if it's something you want to come to or not. And you don't then get on another list that we send out. You really just get that newsletter, and you can opt into things if you want. But anyway, our newsletter is going to be full of information about dog park programming. We've been having yappy hours where people are gathering after work with their pets, and they just, they run around. And so it's nice to be able to talk without your dog having to be on a leash. The space that's in the front that you see carved out, the little half circle, is a potential partnership with the Arts District. We're talking to them about putting a sculpture there. So we think that would be a cool way to enter the Arts District with some art right there. And more to come on that. Next slide. So this was just the opening. That's a little bit of it's more of a picture of the dog park rather than a rendering. And this was our grand opening and ribbon cutting. If you want to have your dog's name on the dog donor wall, you can. You can just go to our website and click on the giving section. And we have a full donor wall, which is being in production. It's in production now, but there are going to be some constantly added to smaller walls, which will have, it's kind of like our brick campaign in order to allow anyone who wants to participate to participate. And I think it's $500 to buy a little, it's really like a dog bone shaped dog tag. And it's larger than one that would go around your dog's neck, but it will go on the donor wall, and you can put a message. It makes the perfect holiday gift for your dog loving friends. But if you want to honor your dog or a former dog or dog lovers, there's ways to participate in that. So I wanted to share that because there are not that many ways to participate in a naming opportunity in the park without obviously giving it a super high level. You can participate in our Friends of Klyde Warren Park program and be invited to a lot of the fun private events or the VIP areas we have within our larger events. But this is a way to get your name on the wall or get your dog's name on the wall. Okay, so the next exciting thing we have, which I'm sure you guys have all passed by, is our new Nancy Best Fountain. So this is going to be done, I can't even believe it at this point, in about a month. It will be completely finished. Definitely by September 15th is our kind of drop dead date. So within the next month or two, I should say, we will be open for business over on the East Lawn, which has been closed for the last several months. I don't honestly know how those guys, the construction folks in their long sleeve shirts and their pants are out there doing this, but they are doing a great job on top of this building, this extraordinary fountain. So the cool thing about this fountain is not only is it a water feature, which our water features are very, very popular for kids. They are tested well and above, beyond the state guidelines to make sure that they are safe, because safety is obviously of utmost importance to us. And so the kids can run through them, as you see in this picture. But every evening, the fountain will put on a performance. So after sunset, every evening, there will be a time where you can gather with your families. There are going to be new food trucks over on the East Lawn, and all sorts of food opportunities. But you can gather with your families and sit and watch a 30-minute performance of the fountain. So the fountain will dance. Really, the water is actually choreographed to dance to music. But the cool thing is that you can literally, I just saw notes that hello Bellagio. You can't walk through the Bellagio fountain. You can walk right through this. In fact, if you hear a song you like, head on out there barefoot, and you can be, out in it. So it's really one of a kind. The water can go up 100 feet. It's probably going to be hanging out at about 35 feet because we've done all sorts of wind studies. We don't want it blowing over onto Pearl, as you can imagine. But I guess if we wanted to do something super exciting one night, we could take it up to 100 feet. But it is the world's largest, meaning it can go to 100 feet, interactive fountain, which means you can walk right through it. The way that the water is going to come out is it's kind of deceiving. I'll let you in on a little secret. So you can see by the artistic rendering, those three, actually, why don't you go to the next slide, Sydney, and I'll show them from that angle. So those three columns are we call them trees. They're supposed to look like trees. They kind of, when you're there, they look like branches. And then when the water comes out, that's really supposed to be the leaves coming out so that we can keep everything in the park, park-like. It looks like a lot more water is coming out than actually is. So when it comes out, and by the time it comes down and lands on the children or whoever, is dancing in the fountain. No judgment. We want all age groups out there dancing. It almost comes down as mist. So it's not like it'll come down and pound on your head if you're out there dancing. The lights, the water will dance to not only to the music, but beautiful lighting. And then we're going to theme each month. So you may come, we're going to start off with lots of different types of genres, but you may come for a Motown night. So like 1 month might be Motown. Another month might be Beatles. Another month might be, show tunes or Queens of Disco or something like that. So we're going to put together a whole library of different musical performances. So it keeps changing. So there's always something for the community to gather from all different areas to come and see. That's the thing I think that's the most special thing about Klyde Warren Park is that it truly is designed for for people from every neighborhood. People who vote differently from each other, people who worship differently from each other, people who look different from each other, people are, from perhaps all different countries with different beliefs. They can all come together to focus on what we have in common. It's really it's therapeutic, it's healing. We had, for our Independence Day event that I just told you about, I think I told you about it. Our Independence Day event, we had July 2nd, the Saturday before Independence Day. We had 20,000 people in the park for the free fireworks. We had not a single security incident. So there's something magical about this place and about people wanting to, be there together, and people scoot over for each other. They're kind to each other. Their children are running around playing. It's with kids they probably never would have met. I mean, our water features are actually extraordinary with that. I kind of call our water features the great democratizers of play because families meet there. The parents or the caretakers are sitting there watching the kids. And we actually, it's just one anecdotal story, but there was a University Park dad who told us his son met a kid, they played together for like an hour, from a kid from West Dallas. And so the two dads were there and they started talking. They set up a play date for their kids, and the dad who was telling us about this was like, my son never would have met this child. I probably never would have met this dad were it not for Klyde Warren Park. So that's to us what it's all about, is really not only creating this physical, bridge, but also we feel like very much like it's our responsibility to create things that continue to bring people together. And this fountain is going to be extraordinary with that. Okay, next slide. The other thing we're doing is, and this was, I would say, probably a mistake we made, which we're very honest about when we chat with all the people from around the country who visit Dallas and want to know what went right, what went wrong. When you're building a deck over a highway, you have to go ahead and get it set up so that, because you can't make any changes once the deck is built. We have to carve out the blocks to put the trees in. You can only have trees that grow a certain, length with their roots. Then you have if they get too big, then you retire the trees to go to another, like a tree farms. They can continue living. There's just all sorts of tricks to it, right? Because there's only so much place for it to grow. One of the things that we learned was our children's park, our playground, basically, when they opened it up the first day, was that it was too small. So it is, I cannot tell you how just teeming with children it is. And it's cool. It's not, everything is very abstract. Like the kids can turn whatever they're climbing on into whatever they imagine. It can be a pirate ship. It can be, something in the jungle. It can be whatever they want it to be. And it is, what we've done is we've expanded into what was our meditation garden area. It was a little bit of more of a botanic garden. It went right up against St. Paul. Nobody was in it. And I kind of tease a little bit and say maybe nobody wanted to meditate, right on St. Paul as it went over Woodall Rogers. It might not have been the most meditative part of the park. There are plenty of people meditating in the park, believe me, but not in that area. So we've now taken over that space to expand the children's park into that area. And so some of the cool things, so we're going from 10,000 square feet to 16,000 square feet. And some of the things we're building, you can see there. There's a new climbing wall we've created. There's some new play equipment. Keep going, Sydney. There's that on top is like and I don't know if that is the final diagram or the final drawing. It may end up looking a little different from that. But that image on top is a shady birthday party pavilion. So you can rent it out for a private party if you want, for your child, or people can just, parents or caretakers can just sit in the shade while the kids are running around. And then the bottom part is what I'm most excited about. It's a climbing tower that also has a slide. So you'll be able to see that as you're driving by. And it is, I think that the kids are really going to love it. The image on the left that you see there on the bottom, it's actually going to be an additional water feature. So it's the one where you walk up and it dumps water on you. That is actually, interestingly, going to be our only freshwater water feature. The rest is recycled water. As I mentioned, we are way above beyond the state standards for the water features to keep them safe. The water goes through a filtration system that is UV light and is, I can't remember the four. There's 4 different filtrations. It's gravel or sand, ozone, UV light, and chlorine. So the four things it goes through, it just wipes out everything. And also it flows through twice as often as is necessitated by the state. So anyway, but that one's going to be a freshwater one, so that'll be a little bit different for us. All right, next slide. And then finally, this is what we're going to be building across the street. So what I've just walked you through are what we call the enhancements. So the things that are actually still on our 5.2 acre footprint. So the plan for the expansion is to add an additional 1.7 acres over Woodall Rogers in the form of 2 decks. Now, technically, it's 1 deck underneath, but as you saw when we were standing on top of the Hunt building, from the top, it looks like 2 decks. One that would have a building on it, and then the one with the Texas U-turn that would have this field on it. So this is the building. It was designed by Gensler. It's interesting because on this side, it looks shorter than on the other side because of the slope. I don't have a picture from the other side, in this PowerPoint, but it looks like 3 levels on this side. It's actually 4 levels from the other side. The bottom level becomes an area which will be like an Uber, Lyft drop off. It'll be not a lot of parking spots, maybe about 30 for an event, and then it'll also be kind of the main entrance for an event. But the way this is being laid out is it's going to be, the bottom floor is going to be kind of a welcome center. It'll be a continuation of programming for the park. It'll be a chance to come in, and if you have visitors that are visiting, take them for a Tex-Mex meal at Mi Casina, show them the water, the water features, and then go over and see what's going on in the city. So we're going to have some kind of concierge system designed, so you'll be able to see there's an opera tonight, there's a Rangers game tomorrow, there's this, and you can really figure out, what you then want to go back on your phone and order tickets to. That'll be the first level. Go to the next slide, Sydney. I'm going to skip past the second level because I'll come back to that. That's the top level. You saw it's like a rooftop deck where it will have the most extraordinary view. If imagine, it's a completely unobstructive view of sunset over, really over the highway, because there's nothing that's going to be built in front of it. So it'll be open to the public for cocktails and things like that, but it'll also be able to be reserved in conjunction with the floor below it. Sydney, next slide, which is going to be a ballroom space. So we really want to continue our partnership with the nonprofits that we work with. We really, we work with all the different arts district entities, a lot of nonprofits, even though we're a nonprofit ourselves, and we make money off of third-party rentals, which then kind of like a PBS model I compare it to. We raise money, which then we spend on our programming. So we raise it privately. But we want to continue working with nonprofits, so we can have some nonprofit fundraising events in here, which are within their budget. We're going, you could have a wedding in there, and you could, it seats about 250 people, plus it has room for a dance floor and a stage, which we've been told is the sweet spot. That's what most of the large events in Dallas, that's the space that they like. And so the top part, you could have the ceremony upstairs and come down for the reception, or you could have the reception, you could have a party downstairs, go upstairs for an after party. There are all sorts of different ways we can program it. And it is a way to support the park. So we're hoping that this will be a revenue generator for Klyde Warren Park as well. The other ways we make money are, we have a public improvement district that funds the park about $1 million a year, but we have to raise about $4 million a year to keep the park clean, safe, and active. So our annual fundraiser, the goal for that is about $1 million a year. Party in the Park would love any of you to come, especially this year. It's going to be really cool. We've got a ABBA cover band or tribute band from Sweden. They performed at the AT&T Performing Arts Center recently. They're amazing. We're going to have a reception right at the new Nancy Best Fountain. It's going to be really cool. So that fundraiser gets us about $1 million a year. The Public Improvement District, about $1 million a year. The food trucks and Mi Casina, so the earned revenue, really hopefully up to about $1 million a year. And then the last $2 million is renting spaces in the park. It's sponsorship of our events. A huge part of it is our Friends of Klyde Warren Park program, which again starts at $500 and goes up to $10,000. All different benefits along the way. Would love any of you all to sign up for that, because it really does help. Every $500 makes a massive difference, and we jump for joy over here. But this especially will be designed for hopefully revenue generation. Next slide. So the last chunk of the park to show you all is this other deck, right? So Jacobs Engineering has given money for the naming rights of it, the Jacobs Lawn. And as you may remember, when I mentioned it before, I said artificial turf. So the lawn looks great right now, but with over 1 million people a year on it, it gets loved on fairly quickly. And we do our best to keep it green, but those of you who look down on it know that it looks threadbare at times. That we want real grass there. We're not going to put artificial turf there. But on this space, which is truly an event space, we do want to put artificial turf. so that we can flip it quickly between events. We can push some of our concerts over there and keep the Ginsburg Family Great Lawn open just for Frisbee or football or whatever. This is where we want to have a lot of the big events that people have around the world that Dallas doesn't have. We want to put 3 months a year an outdoor ice skating rink as part of it. That's part of the plan. The one we're working with the Dallas Stars on that. It'll be similar to it'll be the exact same size as the outdoor ice skating rink at Rockefeller Center, and we want to do a holiday market around it. That's something that's really popular in other cities. We can have fashion shows there. We can have book festivals. We can have a big book festival out there. We could have a beer garden. The possibilities are endless. And so, flower market, things that other places have that Dallas hasn't really been able to have in the same way. So that's the goal of this lawn. And again, another revenue generator for us so that we can still continue to pour programming dollars back in the park. So last slide, Sydney. So this is just kind of a timeline with how all this stuff is breaking out. I told you about my best friend's park, which is the dog park, which is already open. The Nancy Best Fountain in our newly redesigned East Lawn, hopefully open by the end of August. The children's park, I think that's going to be September. The heat has done a number on us with some stuff, and supply chain issues, and frankly changing our mind about a couple things. I think that's probably going to be a month later. The Perot family chose to name that park after Sheila and Jody Grant, who I mentioned are the founders of the parks. That was an incredible, generous gift from them. So that dedication ceremony will take place this fall. And then the expansion, 2022 to 2025, or probably starting next year, I would say instead. This PowerPoint is a month or two old. We're doing some value engineering. The bids came back a little higher than we anticipated, as you can imagine, the way they all are right now. Luckily, the children's park and the fountain were already squared away, but with the cost of steel going up so much and everything, they're reworking some things right now and waiting for some of the prices to come down. So that's still, the timeline for that, I would say, is still a little bit up in the air, but everybody's excited about moving forward with it. So we'll be announcing at some point the exact start date of that, so everybody will be aware. So I think, Faye, that is my presentation. And I don't know if Sydney wants to there you go. If you want to take it over for any questions, but thank you again for letting me share all that with you.
Thank you so much. That was an amazing presentation. We've got a ton of comments and quite a few questions, so let's just go ahead and jump in so we can get through all of them. There is a lot of excitement that I feel in this webinar and outside of this webinar. Everybody's always just talking about Klyde Warren Park. So you guys are doing a very great job with the programming and raising that awareness. And I'm so impressed by, I had no idea you guys had 100,000 followers on Instagram. That is amazing. That is amazing. Okay, so the first question is how many staff are on the logistics team for this entire celebration? So I guess I'm not sure what you were referring to during your presentation, but I guess how many people do you have on staff planning these events?
Not, like everywhere, not enough. So there are just 15 of us total, and we have, I've gone from having one-person departments to two-person departments. So we have 2 people on our external events team, 2 people on our programming team, 2 people on our marketing and donor events team, 2 people in finance, 2 people right now in operations, which is all electrical, everything. We farm out to ACT for our sanitation. We farm out to Platinum Security. So some of you guys may know Ernie in the park. I mean, they're our staff or our family members. Ernie's always wearing the orange shirt. The security guys know everybody, and they will greet you. If you're not going to go into the park unnoticed, they will come up and say hi to you. So really, it's just just our team planning all this different stuff, and we have more than 1,300 programs or events a year. So it is a lot. It is a labor of love. But the cool thing is it's now spawned, again, the parks for downtown Dallas. There are 4 of those parks that are either now have been built or still going to be built. I think this is really greening up Dallas. I was born in Baylor Hospital. I'm a Dallas native. I could not be more excited to see all this happening to our city. I feel like I'm in the catbird seat. And so that's why we try to do more and more so we can be, leading the charge. And there's a trickle-down effect for this. Gosh, there's 7 million people in North Texas. There's plenty of room for more parks like Klyde Warren Park to be designed and built.
Thank you. All right, next question. Will the park include any misting areas for people to cool off? I know we're all thinking about that heat right now.
We don't have misting areas right now unless Mi Casina decides to invest in some of those. Everything is just dollars, right? I would add misters all day long if somebody stepped up and said, I want to buy you misters, the answer is yes, we will accept misters. We have a water feature in the children's park. We have a new water feature going in the children's park, as I showed you. We have 2 water features on Hart Boulevard, which is the main entrance to the park. We have the water feature on Moody Plaza behind the stage, and then we have the huge water feature that's going across. So there's mist from those, but there's not mist machines per se now.
Thank you. Let's see. So what role does solar play in the infrastructure of the park?
So we actually I actually had that because of something else. So we are LEED certified, and I don't have this committed to memory, but we have the lighting poles throughout the park, and they have solar panels attached to them. So we actually have won all sorts we're LEED Gold certified. And, we've got some of the kind of credits we've gotten include like water efficiency and irrigation and our plumbing fixtures. And so everything was done in order to, really save as much water as possible and take advantage of solar as much as possible. Another thing that solar is our trash compactors run off of solar. So they're all sorts. I would need to pull in our head of operations to tell you because there's a lot of it. But just suffice it to say that we have award-winning technology in that area, and we're continuing to try to do what we can to conserve energy.
Wow, that's impressive. Thank you. Next question. So can I ask who created the renderings for this project?
So the artistic renderings, there is an artist he's a Canadian artist actually, and he's someone who Sheila Grant fell in love with because he really captured the park. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but if someone wants to, I can email you that, Faye, if you want, get the guy's name, and you can share it if you want. But he was specifically hired to design different parts of the park because, as you can imagine, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when it was just not even completed yet, a lot of people thought these guys were crazy. I've been at the park 4 years, and I put on the grand opening. I worked with them as I wasn't a full-time park person, but I was doing event planning and PR at the time. So I feel like it was a full circle moment when I came back to work at the park. But there was no way to convey what this was going to be like. And so what we liked about the images is it conveyed kind of just the lightness and airiness and the spontaneity and the colors and everything. And so they really found that artist, whose name I can't remember, captured that in a way that it could be explained to the city almost more than anything else until we actually got real pictures.
Wow, thank you. Next question. So are there any plans to improve parking?
Okay. So, I can't tell you we're going to build parking decks on top of it, but you need to look. So we've got it. We've got deals with, if you go to our website, and we're going to keep pushing this message out. But if you go to our website, we have a whole section about parking. And I've entered into deals with every single one of these parking garages around here. So it's covered parking, so you're in the shade. It's $10 for all-day parking in those buildings. So you could come on a Saturday or in the evening or something like that, and pick your favorite spot. Any one of these buildings, the Dallas Museum of Art has parking. Right now I'm having some conversations with the city about potentially moving some street parking, which may add some additional parking, but you have access to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of parking spaces if you just go to our website and check it out.
Awesome, thank you.
Spread the word on that, please.
Yes. Next question. So which features, play constructions are most popular with the children, in your opinion?
So the water features, 100%. As far as beyond the water features, actually the real moneymaker that I need to do is I need to start selling Klyde Warren Park towels. That's how I could make a fortune to keep this park going, because people arrive and their children get wet, and then they are drip drying their children. So I think I should start selling towels. But beyond that, they like spinning each other around a lot, which, is something I don't do. So they love our spinners. I think that they're really going to love the climbing towers and the climbing wall. I think that's going to be hugely popular. But they also love just running around, So really, that whole children's park is extraordinary, and it's fun to see.
Thank you.
One thing is, on weekends, we don't do it when the heat index is 105. We really kind of shut down our active programming and things, but we have game carts that are available, free game carts. So you could come with your family, maybe wait till it's 95, but come with your family on a Saturday and go up to our game carts, which Visit Dallas actually run for us. And you can check out a game for free. You just give your driver's license or some form of ID, and you can check out a game for free. And so the kids like all of that stuff too.
That's good to know. Thank you. Next question is, will this be the only Klyde Warren Park? Has there ever been a discussion on replicating this other places?
Well, I guess it's being replicated other places, not as Klyde Warren Park per se, but a version of Klyde Warren Park. I don't think we don't have plans to do anything other than expand right now. But we are constantly in conversations with these other groups to make sure that they know what it takes to run a programmed park. So I feel like we've been doing everything we can to set them up for success. But no, I don't think we're planning on building another one ourselves.
Thank you. So let's go ahead and squeeze in a few more questions here. So other than the closure of the restaurant, was Klyde Warren Park affected by the pandemic?
We were. When we were, we were first asked by the city if we would be a testing center. And I just made the decision early that we would not, that there were plenty of places to get tested, but we were going to be focused on people who were well and giving them a place to come. And so that's what we did, because you could go to a parking lot and get tested, right? But we wanted to continue to have the free programming and opportunities. So we got a special exemption. We figured out how to create some protocols so that we could continue to let people come. We did circles on the ground, 6 feet apart. And our protocols ended up being used by AT&T Discovery District, by the Arboretum, by some other different groups around the city. So we adjusted what we could do. We did cut back on our budget because we didn't have those rentals anymore. People weren't renting sections of the park for events because you couldn't really do that. But I didn't furlough a single person. We just dug deep, and people got paid less, and everybody stayed because we felt like we were doing important work that the community needed. When they finally said outdoors was safer than indoors, and people could go to drive-in movies, and people could eat outside, and people could go to football games. If you didn't have a car for a drive-in movie or couldn't afford to pay that, and you couldn't take your entire family out to a restaurant to sit outside, but you could maybe do a picnic someplace, and maybe you couldn't afford Cowboys tickets, right? You could come to the park with your entire family and have some time together and feel safe and feel like you were being taken care of and just have some escape from what was going on.
Yes, thank you. So next question, someone in the audience is asking, can you share ideas of how we can get funding to improve our local parks, which that was one of my questions as well. I thought it was very interesting when you were talking about passive parks. I don't think a lot of people think of it that way, but it is very true. How do you turn a passive park? How do you make those improvements to make it more like Klyde Warren Park?
I think a lot of that goes to more public-private partnerships, because there's certain things private partners can do that the city can't. We can't just keep adding more and more to the city's plate, right? So certainly rec centers do their part, but I think that I think a city park putting together a private group of donors, which takes somebody having the wherewithal to be able to do it. It takes volunteers probably in our community. So if a group of volunteers adopted a park that they lived near or whatever, and they raised money in order to put on some different types of community events, I think that would start the ball rolling, because I think then businesses would start seeing how many eyeballs were on what they were sponsoring, and then you could kind of come up with your own Friends of Fill in the Blank Park program, where people joined, had paid like a membership fee or something, and that went toward putting things on. But it would take a group of volunteers getting it started way before you get to the point where you have a staff.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'll take two more questions. So first one, what is the crime rate at the park? Is it really safe?
Park is incredibly safe. I mean, we really don't even have graffiti. There are rules associated with being in the park. You can't just do anything at the park. You have to abide by the rules, and that's part of our use agreement. With the city, we could develop rules that we maintain. DPD is on speed dial. They are there immediately if we need them. But our full-time security, we have 24-hour-a-day security. Our security guys, like Ernie, who I mentioned before, they will engage, but they won't escalate a situation. So if something becomes a problem, they're just there to, if somebody's scootering through, which they're not allowed to do, they need to walk, wheeled, scooters and things like that through. But if it looks like it's going to become an issue, their next step is to call DPD to intervene immediately. But our demographics show that we actually have more women who come to the park than men, which we think speaks to the safety because of the park. Because by not much, it's maybe 55% to 45%. But I don't think a woman, especially a mother, with a child, is going to be walking through any place she does not feel is safe at all. So the park is very safe. And again, a lot of that is on the community. Yes, there are a couple people who cause problems, places or whatever, but this community rallies around this place. I mean, this place is embraced and loved, and people protect it. They admonish each other to keep it what it is.
Thank you. And we'll just take one more question, and then we'll let you wrap this up. Can you talk about the benefits of this green space as far as, mental health or economic benefits?
Yeah, so I talked a little bit about the economic benefits, and the economic impact. And, again, I think that revenue of, more than $500 million in tax revenue going to the city to then be reinvested in the city it speaks for itself. As far as the health benefits, yes, it is. There's study after study showing that people getting outside, especially during the pandemic, that people getting outside and giving themselves green space to do whatever they want, whether it's to sit quietly or whether it's to create, to run around. That's one thing I actually didn't mention is in our children's park, not only do we have all this stuff for the kids to climb on, we actually have some features we're adding for people who want a little bit of a quieter play moment, for whatever different reason. It could be sensory or auditory processing. It could just be that they want to have just some quiet time. So again, we are constantly trying to make it everyone's park, and be reflective of the entire community. And I think that's healthy too, feeling like you're going someplace that has thought about you and embraces you. But being outside, unless it's 105, is important. And, we're glad that the studies have come out that back all that up, because people are embracing outdoor spaces like no other time in Dallas. So I think everybody is getting the importance of this now. And even the real estate developers are trying to incorporate something like this into their real estate developments, even in the middle of downtown or uptown whenever they can. So it's an exciting time for those of us in North Texas. And I think we should be very proud of what our business leaders and our civic leaders are trying to do. We get it, and they're trying to make it happen.
Wonderful. Well, Kit, thank you so much. Is there, I guess I always like to end it, how can we support you? How can we support Klyde Warren Park?
Thank you. Well, again, like I said, please come eat at the food trucks, eat at Mi Cocina, join our Friends of Klyde Warren Park program. You can make a donation to the dog park, get your dog's name on the wall. Any of the funding things, obviously, are hugely helpful, because then we can turn it into, we have a diversity, equity, and inclusion task force that helps us with our programming, and it's inclusion in all different ways, right? Everything from mobility to, as I said, age to racial to, we really, the more ideas you all have about what is something you've seen someplace that maybe we're not aware of or we don't have, bring those ideas to us. Just any feedback. The fun thing for me is when people feel very passionately about the park and they care whether they're mad about something or they're happy about something. That's great, right? Because that means we've all embraced this place as our own, and we are only as good as all the feedback we get. So we're delighted with constructive criticism or compliments. We take compliments too. Those are nice to throw out to the staff every once in a while. But yeah, keep it coming, and we're just grateful for opportunities such as this to spread the word.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Is there an email where people can send in general questions and comments?
Yes. So info@KlydeWarrenPark.org. But your group, you're more than welcome to email me at KIT@KlydeWarrenPark.org. And we'll get you to the right place, but would love to hear from any of you all, and just appreciate the work that you guys are doing. It takes a village. It's all of us working together to make our community better. So thank you all for your time and interest, and great job to you guys as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. To the audience, thank you for joining us today. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Bye, everybody.